Congratulations on the album. I've had a chance to sit down and take a listen, and it's a great album. So congratulations.
Thanks heaps. Really appreciate it. Yeah, well, we're all really happy with it. I'm stoked with it.
So tell us a little bit about what you guys wanted to achieve with this album. Was there a goal in mind when you sat down to start working on this album?
No, I mean, not really. We kind of write songs consistently, so we don't sit down and go, we are writing an album now. We kind of write songs all the time. It takes a long time for us to get a song to where we're happy with it, usually. Like it can take months sometimes as we just mess with little bits here and there, which no one will ever notice except us. But, so yeah, we write pretty consistently. So we didn't sit down and decide to write this album. When we were recording it, it took quite a while before we got to record it because of COVID problems. But yeah, I don't know. There's differences between this album and the last, and there's differences between the last album and the one before that. And yeah, it was just trying to make it feel like it does when we play it live, because that's what we love doing. So
yeah. When you say it takes a while to write a track, what do you guys start with? Do you normally start with a riff and go from there, or is it lyrics that come first? How does that process work for you guys?
Look, often it depends, because both me, I play bass, me, Romano, and Fran all write music. We've got different ways of doing it. Sometimes, someone will come in with basically a complete song, and then, or sometimes they'll come in with a riff and we'll mess with it. But even when you come in with a complete song, it's going to change around once you get more people involved with it. We all get involved in all the songs, so no matter who writes something, every song has a bit of each of us, including Dennis, not just with lyrics. He will, he doesn't write music on an instrument, but he will very happily sort of spell out thoughts that he's having, even if it just means humming bars that he thinks is a good idea, or explaining in words. And yeah, it becomes very collaborative rather than a song belonging to a person.
Yeah. You mentioned that it takes a while for a track to get to the point where you're happy with it. Tell us a little bit about that. Do you guys just, when you get together, you'll pull out something and start to work on that track and do a little bit more to it, or does that just come naturally, kind of thing?
Well, it really depends on the song. Some songs do happen quicker.
Yeah.
But we still won't play them until we're completely happy that we know them inside and out and can be completely tight and make no mistakes, etc. But other songs we might jam on for a few weeks, and then might get left for another couple of weeks as we work on something else, and then we'll come back to it and keep coming back to it until we're happy. And sometimes, sometimes it becomes apparent that a song isn't going to totally work, so we'll butcher it and take the riffs and use them elsewhere or something. Or, sometimes we'll go back to something that we started 6 months ago, change around how we're doing it and go, this is what we're after. It's just, the riffs, the ideas are there, and, but getting it all fitting together and feeling good and this, yeah.
Awesome. So what inspires you to write music? Is it just everyday life, or are there certain topics that you like to explore with your music?
I mean, for me, writing music, I write things all the time.
Yeah.
And some of them end up being being dark horse songs or songs for other things that I do, and some of them don't. I mentally, literally sing along with everything I hear, from the sound of the coffee machine to a train to hear it, whatever, and write riffs in my head along to them. I do this all the time, and then other times I might have been, it might just be I've been listening to certain music so much recently that something from that influences the direction of what I'm writing, and so I end up writing something down that track, taken completely from something else, but like just, whether it's, if I've been listening to a lot of death metal, then I'm going to end up writing something heavier than if I've been listening to a lot of ska, right?
Yeah.
So it's that. But yeah, I'm writing stuff in my head at all times, pretty much, and some of it makes its way onto my bass, and some of it doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't think any music I've ever written has sounded particularly happy, which doesn't mean that I'm not a happy person necessarily, but I don't know how to put positivity into music because it's not what comes naturally.
Yeah. You mentioned also that COVID affected the recording of the album. How difficult was that for you guys to get into the studio? Because I know with lockdowns and things like that, studios were closed. How did that affect you?
Well, the problem was the studio we recorded in, and we wanted to record in, it was the same one we recorded Bomb Thrower in. It's in Melbourne.
Yep.
And so we had to fly down for it. And, of course, Melbourne copped everything really hard. And so, I feel like a bit prissy complaining about this because in the scheme of things it's not that bad. But we booked the studio, booked tickets, cancelled them because Melbourne locked down. Melbourne opened up again. We rebooked. It cancelled again because it got locked down again. And then I think it was the third time. It was nearly a year after when we were first meant to be going in that we actually managed to get there. This is, compared to what some people have been through, this is nothing. And but it did mean that it wasn't as spontaneous as it might have been. But and we also couldn't jam as much during that time because for the same reasons, same as everyone. So the whole experience ended up being very different from, for instance, when we recorded Bomb Thrower, which was at the same studio, but we've been jamming heaps, gigging heaps, touring, and all this, and everything was just flowing so much. Whereas this one, it felt like we had to push harder. To make it happen.
So, what are the plans now with the album out there? Are you guys going to look at doing some shows, or what are the plans going forward now?
Well, I mean, we got our actual Sydney release show is tomorrow, as we're talking now. So, and then we got a few sort of localish shows over the next couple of months, and then we were just discussing today. Trying to booking some interstate shows in Melbourne and Brisbane area predominantly. It's a bit difficult because again, like we would have loved to have toured this overseas, but it's just not happening, obviously. So we're just going to try and get as many around Australia as we can. But so I'm just in the process of contacting people and and getting that stuff going to go and play in other towns and play around. I mean, it's great that in time for our show tomorrow, it's things have opened up more. They've got larger capacity where we're playing. So we played a few shows during the time that were seated and limited capacity in this and we put everything we could into it, and we had fun, but it's not the same. Yeah.
So now to wrap up, what would you like to say to people out there before they go out and grab a copy of the album? Because I know a few of our listeners are going to want to grab a copy after they've taken a listen to a couple of these tracks.
Well, yeah, I mean, I hope that it feels very current, both lyrically and musically. I really enjoy it. I like the aggression of it and the anger of it, and I'm very happy with the way the sound came out. It feels to me as though it's very current. It's very immediate in its tone and in its lyrical content. And I hope that people feel that they can kind of relate to where we're coming from with it. Frustration of existence at the moment. Well, always really, but even more so now. And I hope maybe some of that anger and frustration comes across in what we're doing there.
Awesome. And what track from the album would you like us to play on our show tonight?
I would have to go with the title track, Trauma Taught, which is just such a fun song to play. There I was saying, anger and aggression, but it's an enjoyable song to play. It's big, DB crust number that, it makes me really happy. So that'd be a great one to go with.
Awesome. Well, mate, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us tonight. It's been an absolute honour chatting to you, and we cannot wait to see you guys do a Melbourne show sometime soon.